Hey, Virtual Biology 1 students, glad to see you. This will be our first video note of many. We'll do this every day for a little bit here. And on Google Classroom, I put a document that is a fill in the blank along with this video. And you can either print it off and fill it in, or you can just kind of fill it in on the computer as I give notes. And that packet of fill in the blank notes from the video is what my tests are over. I could just give you the videos and have you just write stuff down, but I just feel like that's a little easier to do. Plus, it kind of gives you a guide of what do I need to study for my test, which will probably be next week sometime. It's not really a test, kind of a mini test, big quiz on this first unit. So that's for you to use. It's totally up to you if you just want to watch the video and highlight things or write stuff down. That's totally up to you. But I gave that document to you. That's what I do with my classes that are here at school. They fill those blanks in, and I'm probably going to put some slides in the future that's more interactive, so you can answer questions on there and do some peer deck. You may have done that before in some classes. So that's what we're going to do. So that's how we'll do notes. So that document is there. If you can't print it off and you want to print it off, you can come in to school and pick one up, or come in on Friday and pick one up. So that is an option as well. So totally up to you. Okay. And you may have to do that with some other homework assignments as well, coloring sheets down the road and some things like that. So let's kind of jump right in. This first chapter is pretty basic. It's things that you may have learned in environmental science, or you may have learned in 8th grade science or 7th grade. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time in this chapter. We mainly want to hit up characteristics of life. What makes something alive? We'll watch a little video on that in just a second. And the other thing is what's the scientific method? Every science uses a scientific method, and that's what kind of separates us from other subjects. Is if you come up with a theory and answer to a science question, you got to back it up. You got to prove that your theory is valid through scientific reasoning and the scientific method. Now, granted, the scientific method will vary from science to science. Like what I do in biology is a little bit different than maybe Mr. Anders does down here in chemistry, or Mrs. Newby does in physics. They do a lot more math calculations and things like that. We may just be doing field journals, writing observations down of a lab that we're studying some animal or plant or whatever. So it's not all a mathematical calculation table data type of driven thing. It might just be, writing down what you see. And we'll do some labs like that. We're going to do a kind of a fun one Friday. I'm going to have you do purpose and procedure. And maybe next week we'll do a paper airplane lab. Sounds kind of funny. We're going to make paper airplanes, but yeah. And then you're going to test them and write down your data, and some you can do at home, and my kids can do here at school, and we'll write down data, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So that's kind of what separates science from other subjects, is that scientific method. And even though it may look a little different in the sciences, we all use it. So, and that's also why sometimes we can't address certain questions in science. There's some things we can't run through the scientific method. Like if I go to a museum. I did this in college. I had a fine arts class, and we went to a museum, and I looked at this artwork. They said, "Oh, it's worth $100,000." I'm like, "I'm not seeing it. I wouldn't give $5 for that painting," because it just. Then somebody beside me was like, "Oh, it's so beautiful. It's awesome." It's it's beauty, for example, is a very personal, subjective thing. I can't run that through scientific method and say, here's what makes something beautiful. You can't do that. Religion, you can't just put God in a test tube, a poof, he appears, and run him through a scientific method. That's not what faith is based on. So understand we are limited a little bit. I don't know what happened to my camera. Hopefully you can still hear me. Maybe it'll come back here in a minute. But jeez, oh Pete, what's going on? Okay, so sorry about that. I lost my camera there for a second, so I don't know what happened. So, we'll edit that a little bit, and hopefully you're good. So, that's kind of where we're at with the scientific method. So let's kind of jump right in And some of this stuff will not be in your notes. That's fine. It's just kind of background, like this next slide will not be in your notes, but and I'm going to show you a little quick video. But I thought it was kind of interesting. I should change this slide because this was a couple years ago, and we were worried about the bird flu. Little did we know COVID-19 was going to hit us like it did. So, killing birds, threatening humans.